My boss cut me off and ended up looking at furry porn. Early in my career I was working on a government project and assigned to validate contact information for people in the area. Phone numbers, emails, addresses, stuff like that. I'm still shocked people used such ridiculous emails on government forms. Emails similar to bigtittymaster69@gmail, or xxxsmokeblunts420xxx@hotmail, were very common. Neither example or actual emails I dealt with. Just reminiscent of them. One day I went to my asshat boss to ask about one email. All I got out was, "I am having an issue confirming." And he cut me off saying just send it to him. And he'll do it himself. What he didn't let me get out was that the email was, admin at very clearly a porn site, and we had constant internet monitoring, so I couldn't exactly verify it. Also, I really didn't want to. It literally had Furry and SM in the site name. So, doing as I was told, I sent him the email. Thanks to our shitty walls, my coworkers and I were treated to a loud, "Oh my God," and the ensuing phone calls from IT and HR asking him to explain himself later that day. His eventual response just said, "Verified." I worked for a commercial window company, and a new-to-the-market supplier sent their sales rep. Had no idea what he was selling. To impress us with their stuff, salesman does his song and dance and tells us we can go online and download whatever product info we need. Don't remember him telling us a website address in his speech. So the VP and I assume companyname.com will bring up the website at the VP's computer. It did not. It brought up a Japanese hentai porn site. IT manager told me this story. A certain no longer employed dispatcher at my trucking company was well known for looking at porn on the dispatch computer. His back was to the office door and he was frequently caught. Idiot boy saw something he liked on his 11 to 7 a.m. shift and decided to print out a copy. Print. Nothing in the copier next to him. Print, print, print. Nothing. He did TFAT about 25 times before giving up and going home at the end of his shift. Yes, you know where this was going. IT guy gets a call from the owner's older sister. 70s. There's a stack on her printer when she came to work. I interrupted him. Don't tell me. She was standing on a chair like TGERE was a rat and you were expected to pick it up with ice tongs. Like it was radioactive? Precisely. Took him about a minute to trace IP address back to said idiot boy. Now I'ma get myself one of those email addresses for the sole purpose of using it when dealing with my government. Back in the day when the internet was just starting up, our company finally got reliable email. And because our IT team was new and our managers were clueless, they downloaded and applied an off-the-shelf internet porn filter. I was one of the first people it hit when one of my emails was flagged for bad language. I got a note from IT that said that they would be forwarding my email to an hour later we were all looking at the email and scratching our heads. There was nothing inappropriate in my email that I could see. The IT person queried the filter and sold that the word that was problematic was Spears. As in Britney Spears, who was fairly popular at the time. I had merely used an analogy of two departments chucking spears at each other. The HR woman sighed and rolled her eyes. IT went back to the drawing board. And I went back to my desk. When I first started in computers back in the 90s, the ability to track web traffic to a user was a fairly new invention and wasn't well known at the company I worked at. Every day one of my tasks was to look through the logs and send my manager, who then forwarded it to HR if I saw more than 5 violations from a user in a single day. If you tried to go to a blocked site, you got a nastygram on your Netscape window telling you to get back to work. People are into some nasty stuff. One of the guys was a straight-laced dude who was fairly religious. I sadly found out his fetish is golden showers. He tried to go to 20+ different pee-party sites before giving up. WTF, dude? At work? Pretty sure why he kept his door closed all the time. I never looked at him the same way ever again. I worked for a very large bank with an email filter. If it caught a banned word in a chat or email, it would highlight the word and forward the alert to your boss. Their boss, usually a VP, and HR. Each instance of a banned word would generate an email. A coworker had a habit of emailing her sister using the company email, which was dumb but allowed at the time. They apparently talked food and exchanged recipes. Until one recipe she sent contained chicken, specifically chicken breast, referenced all over the page. That one email caused her chain of command and HR to get spammed with alert emails. It caused an uncomfortable but hilarious meeting for her the next day. And the department had a good laugh about it. Around 2000 I worked for a large furniture manufacturer that was privately held. We constantly had space issues with home drive usage. No quotas in effect. So built and ran a command script that searched for media. MP3, JPG, GIF, MOV, AVI, MPEG, etc. The idea was that we'd send a copy of the acceptable use policy to those that had personal media on the shared drive. Give them 2 weeks to delete it. Then delete the data. If porn was found, the file listing was printed off and forwarded to my supervisor, who took it to our. I do my search and discover that one of the VPs had a ton of porn on his home drive. I chuckle to myself and print the file listing. The names themselves were obvious. And handed to my supervisor. Her jaw drops. Turns out, VP was a relative of the family with a controlling stake. Consequently, nothing happened to him or anyone else that had saved porn on their home drives. But it was all deleted. When my hub was 17, he worked in IT for a small company. He was reviewing something on a guy's computer when he opened a porn image of the guy and another guy at the company. He reported it to HR, and their mildly incompetent HR decided someone needed to catalog all the images. And, of course, to limit the damage, no one else should be exposed. So they set a 17-year-old kid to view all the porn images and write down their content. These were not attractive people, so even if my hub were bisexual, he would not have enjoyed the task. And he was a minor. Only his easygoing approach to work, aka, yes sir, approach, saved them from a number of lawsuits over his years there. What process did you have for verifying emails that required you to use a web browser to visit a website? It's trivial to determine whether a domain exists, whether there's a mail server accepting email for the domain, and even if it's accepting email for a particular user at. And, of course, you could just send a verification email. It sounds like IT did a terrible job of giving you the proper tools or training. I do email management for 1.4 million government users. You wouldn't believe how stupid some people are. And how stupid some admins are. It's that second part that scares me the most these days. I'll never forget the day the CIO made me look at porn at work. He was lazy, and instead of manually forwarding blocked email alerts to have them released, he set up a rule to auto-forward them to me. This meant I would have to check every single email of his that got blocked, whether it was work related or not. One day I called him over and asked if he really wanted me to release this email for him. He looked and it was spam for a certain enlargement product with before and after photos. He removed the auto-forwarding rule. When I was at my school, Polytech, we had a couple guys surf porn in the common computer lab areas. Even after tattling, they just were back at IT a few days later. I'm not sure if they still allow it, but about 15 years ago my sister said the guy sitting next to her on a 2 to 3 hours flight started watching porn. WestJet. She shamed him into stopping by quite literally asking him what was going on in his life that he couldn't go a couple hours without, and felt the need to subject the person sitting next to him to this. He stopped, but was apparently a bit miffed the rest of the flight. Lol. Curious. Why not just block sites on server level to begin with? Instead of, oops, I went to a wrong site and IT and HR is now freaking out. Why not block those sites? And the likes of those in the first place? I used to screen resumes at a temp agency. And the number of resumes we got that were like Big Dick 69420 at Hotmail or ChinaWhite4Life at Gmail used to absolutely blow my mind. Especially when it was attached to otherwise impressive resumes. I don't get it. How were you validating people's contact information for things that were not admin at obviouspornsite.com? Why would this be any different? That's Fune. Dude, why are you blowing up my spot? I am the BIGTITTYMASTER 6969420ELONMUSTOHYEAH. My husband is a professor, and students will submit essays from accounts named things like lickingpoon at Gmail. He will have to write them back and ask them their actual name. Makes a great impression when you want someone to think you are smart. I was handling some government paperwork that included residences' email addresses, and one I noticed included the phrase, fishcock. What's really great about this is that it wouldn't have just been the person writing this down on a form. They had to tell a government employee who had to fill out the paperwork. Can I get your email address? Quote. Fishcock. Hitchcock? Quote. No. Fishcock. Fishcock? Quote. Yes. FISHCOCK? Yes. Okay. Phone number? This is why I have a second Gmail address linked to my primary account. The primary account is Big Titty Master, but the secondary account is just my name. That way I can send and receive real emails using my name and not have to fuss with logging into or maintaining a second account.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.